For the past few weeks or so, a Twitter user by the name of Teletubbies Facts has been quickly gaining mainstream attention due to their surprisingly disturbing tweets and most notably their interaction with a user by the name of Scary Larry. On the surface, they appear to be a simple, kid-friendly Twitter page as shown by their bio, which reads, "Expand your Teletubbies knowledge by following this account for facts, updates, and info about this popular children's program." Their pinned tweet also appears to be innocent and lighthearted, claiming that here at Teletubbies Updates, we encourage nothing but kindness and a positive spirit. The extent of their decency ends there, however, since a simple glance at their actual tweets presents thoughts and actions that are nothing short of disturbing. For instance, we have tweets that depict disturbing drawings, skinwalkers, photos of police, and even what appears to be a profile of a person in an ominous, grainy photo. Also, we can see that the page owner claims some really screwed up stuff, such as one tweet where he addresses another account by the name of Sharon, claiming that, "I am not human. I'm the devil himself. Sharon's flesh fuels me. You will all pay for your sins." It almost appears as if this guy has some sort of vendetta for Sharon, since he seems to refer to her multiple times on his page. Now, the question is, who the hell is this guy? Who is Sharon, and why is this page a thing?
For the sake of clarity, we're going to give you a more detailed rundown on everything that has happened between these two accounts since they surfaced. Once that's over, we're going to take a step back and dissect everything we just talked about. The Teletubbies Facts account was created a few months ago in August, with its first tweet being posted on the 13th. On August 15th, we have a tweet that says, "Look me in the eyes, Sharon, I'm your husband." This is the first mention of Sharon from this account. On the 17th, an image of the baby from the Teletubbies TV show is posted, along with "Harvest is coming." Between this time and August 26th, the account continues posting. These tweets are mostly seemingly nonsensical, the type of stuff you'd expect from a troll or parody account. Many of them are morbid in nature, but nothing that anyone would be concerned about. The 27th, however, is when things start to get a little more interesting. This is the first time we see a tweet from the Sharon account. There she asks, "What is this account? Dave, please stop doing this, come home." Back on the Teletubbies account, we see a response saying, "Leave me alone, Sharon, you cheater. I never should have married you." Sharon responds, this time with an apology and another plea for David to return home, as both she and their kids miss him. Dave then says he'll come home, with a gun, and that Sharon made him do this. After that, we see a few more tweets from the Sharon account, one asking where her children are, and another saying, "No, Dave, please don't." For the next few days, we don't hear from both sides. Dave posts a few more nonsensical tweets, but that's about it. We hear nothing from Sharon until September 2nd when she finally breaks her silence, saying, "Dave, please don't hurt me." We hear nothing from Dave until September 11th, but this was simply a response to one of his followers and didn't pertain to the Sharon situation. On the 14th, however, we get an interesting update from Dave. A vague tweet that simply says, "Put the gun down." That same day, Sharon tweeted, "I've had enough, I can't take it anymore." On September 19th, we once again see the image of the Teletubbies baby, this time in black and white with the caption, "Harvest is near." Over the next few days, Sharon continues her silence while Dave tweets various things such as, "Somebody please love me," and a close-up image of a Teletubby. On September 25th, he writes, "The gun is pressed against my temple. I either die a man or live another day to see myself turn into the monster I truly am." On September 30th, he says this is the last straw and time for harvest.
This is the point where things really start to pick up, so bear with us here and try to follow along. On October 1st, Dave tweets, "She took everything in the divorce." Meanwhile, Sharon posts a rather alarming tweet asking who could be knocking at 2 a.m. and that she's scared. The next day, on October 2nd, Dave tweets, "Stop the pain," to which Sharon responds with, "The divorce had to be done. Dave, you were hurting me." On October 4th, we have another seemingly nonsensical tweet from Dave, a screenshot of what appears to be the Wiggles suspended Twitter account, along with a caption reading, "Good night, sweet prince." On Sharon's end, she posted, "What are you doing with that gun, Dave?" Over the next few days, we don't hear anything interesting from either side. Sharon goes silent again, and Dave continues with his usual troll-style posting. This is where I want to take the time to point out that there are possibly missing pieces to this story, mainly because tweets can be deleted. In fact, this is what I wanted to address next. As stated earlier, this account has over 45,000 followers and is quickly blowing up beyond that. How does this make sense, especially given the fact that most of the posts here seem to be nothing more than a troll? Well, on October 7th, something happened that would lead to this account blowing up as big as it did. On that day, a Twitter user by the name of Scary Larry posted these screenshots. One is from his reply to a post made by Dave. Immediately after that, the user apparently received this DM and was soon blocked. The final image is a Google translation of the text seen in the DM. We reached out to Scary Larry to get him to comment on what happened, and this is what he said. Okay, so there's a glitch on the Twitter app to where it would randomly show deleted tweets from someone that you follow, but you couldn't like or retweet it, so if you did, it would show an error message along the lines of couldn't find tweet or something. I was already aware about this glitch, so I knew a tweet from Teletubbies Facts was deleted, so I took a screenshot of it because of how morbid it was. I replied to their latest undeleted tweet with the screenshot and the headline, "Nice tweet," which is pretty obnoxious, I know. A few hours go by, and I get a DM from the Teletubbies themselves, and it was just a creepy black and white picture of the Teletubby sun with the eyes blacked out, and it was captioned in Russian text that translated to what you see in the pinned tweet. At the time of writing this, Scary Larry's tweet has reached over 105,000 likes and 40,000 retweets. According to him, he recalls the Teletubbies account only having about 12,000 followers at the time of their interaction. It's clear that this exchange is what caused this thing to blow up to these proportions.
After this October 7th incident, things drastically escalated. On October 8th, another post from the Sharon account was made. This is Sharon's family. We managed to get onto her account. If anyone has any information on Sharon's disappearance, please let us know. Dave retweeted and responded with, "You'll never find her." October 9th. More tweets from the Sharon account. Sharon's dismembered leg was found located in the woods behind the house her and David lived in. She is presumably dead. Sharon's family presumed that Dave and Sharon's marriage was often abusive and controlling. Dave was diagnosed a sociopath by his therapist. We have no idea the whereabouts of Dave, but do know Dave isn't his real name. He had it legally changed in 2014. Dave responded to this last tweet with, "I ate your daughter. If you want the rest of her body, she's in the basement freezer. If you try to find me, I'll blow my brains out." October 10th. Sharon's family responds to David's last tweet asking him to surrender. Dave agrees and says that he's making his way to Sharon's house to meet them in about 20 minutes. At the end of this tweet is something rather strange. The family notices this and tweets out asking what Dave meant by run, which is apparently what you see here in Russian. This, of course, is reminiscent of the DM sent over to Scary Larry. The following tweet says, "Okay, Dave, I see you now outside from the window. Thank you for surrendering, but what is that in your hand?" To which she responded, "You should have ran while you had the chance." After this, we see another tweet from the Sharon account. "This is Dave now. They're all dead. I'm soaked in the blood of Sharon's family. Forget this ever happened, never mention this again." Things go dark for a couple days until October 12th when Dave posts this image along with the caption, "Guess I get what I deserve." Here we can see what appears to be a police car approaching in the distance. From this point on, Dave goes silent. A lot of users were quick to point out that this image is fake since it was also found on Google and traces all the way back to 2015.
We then see another tweet from the Sharon account, which has now apparently been taken over by the authorities. A public statement is now being issued. David Hutchinson, his alias and his real name still unknown, had his home in Salina, Utah, surrounded by Sevier County, Utah Sheriff's Department for the murders of Sharon Hutchinson, the ex-wife, Katie Hutchinson, the daughter, Aiden Hutchinson, the son, Rebecca Jules, Sharon's mother, and Franklin H. Jules, Sharon's father. However, while surrounded by police, Dave pulled a 19mm Glock, presumably from his back pocket, and turned the gun on himself. He died at around 9:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, October 12th. Sharon's Twitter account was still left open when the police found her phone after her parents live tweeted right before Dave committed his murders. Dave was found to have ran a parody Teletubbies account that consisted of unusual dark tweets, none relating to the popular children's TV show, The Teletubbies itself. Him admitting to the murders of Sharon and her family raised speculation about Dave, as most fans and followers believed it was all part of the joke. David Hutchinson, age 36, is now dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Our hearts and condolences go out to the relatives of Sharon and Dave, whom we wish recover from this traumatic experience. Following this, the authorities claim that they've been able to log into Dave's Teletubbies account and that both accounts will be deleted within a few hours. October 13th. It's frustrating that we had to get back on this account, but everyone please stay off Teletubbies Fact, as it appears the account has been hacked. Hacked by probably a fan or someone else. Dave passed away last night and it would be in everyone's best interest to leave it be. The hacked tweet has been deleted. USCPD. October 14th. Breaking news. The man who pulled the gun on himself Thursday night was not Dave. Dave has reportedly left Sevier County. Lock your doors. Here is where we finally start hearing back from David again. He responds with, "You all thought it was that fucking easy. I am not human. I am the devil himself. Sharon's flesh fuels me. You will all pay for your sins." Another update from the Sharon account soon follows, warning that Dave needs to be apprehended before it's too late. They also retweeted the image from October 12th stating that Dave tweeted this fake picture to throw USCPD off. This was not us. Dave's cousin, Roy Sanders, was identified as the man who shot himself. Another update. Dave's vehicle spotted at a gas station in Englewood, Colorado earlier at around 10 a.m. This is a real-life situation. Please be aware. October 15th. Dave tweets out a crude stick figure drawing along with the words, "They'll never find me," written above it. The authorities respond, "I've seen enough. I'm withdrawing from this investigation. Someone else try to search for this psychopath." Minutes later, they tweeted, "Breaking. The manhunt for David Hutchinson is temporarily over for now. The investigation may or may not resume soon. Our apologies." Meanwhile, on Dave's end, things started to pick back up again. He posted, "He bled like a faucet," and "He's in my house," along with these two images that you see here. The last updates from the Sharon account say, 3 boys, 1 baseball bat. I met them out in the field earlier tonight. None of them will ever see their family again. And also, I killed Dave. Clearly, we have yet another plot twist on our hands here.
Now that we're done with that, we want to take a second to point out some flaws and holes in the story. First of all, both the Teletubby and Sharon accounts were created in August of this year, presumably at the same time. This is something we typically see in many online alternate reality games or web series where the story is told via the interactions between multiple characters. The creators missed the realism mark by creating the accounts all at once, not taking into consideration how unnatural this makes everything feel. This seems to be what happened here. On top of this, we have numerous problems with logic and odd behavior from everyone involved. For example, after the events on the 8th where Sharon goes missing and her family and police supposedly take over the account, they claim that David was abusive and that they later found Sharon's severed leg behind the family home. Yet, for some reason, they, the family, ask Dave, a murder suspect, to surrender and agree to meet him at the house, a private location, without the police present. This obviously doesn't add up, as you wouldn't want to turn yourself into a sitting duck. How about the image of the police car that was posted on the 12th? As I said, spectators were quick to point out that this image is fake, and the Sharon account later claimed that David posted this as an attempt to try to throw them off. The question is why? How would this picture have thrown off the cops in the first place? It didn't influence the outcome of the events that supposedly took place that night. It seems that this whole thing might actually just be an attempt at realism that backfired. Whoever's running this thing didn't take into account that people would actually dig for the sources of the images, so the thing about David posting a fake one on purpose was meant to backtrack and cover up this mistake. I also wanted to point out how many times it was emphasized that Dave isn't this person's real name, and that it was legally changed in 2014. The thing is, this is completely irrelevant. If his name was legally changed to David Hutchinson, then this is all you would need. They also claim to have spotted his car in Colorado, and they even know his wife and her family, so how could they not have access to his birth name if they really needed it? This information really isn't that hard for the average person to dig up, so it should be exceedingly easy for authorities in this situation. The next point is something we see quite often in various forms of storytelling that perhaps weren't thought out all the way through. Let's go back to when Dave meets Sharon's family before killing them. They ask him to surrender, he agrees and says, "Okay, I surrender. I'm driving to me and Sharon's house where you're all at right now. I'll be there in about 20 minutes. The problem with this is the fact that Sharon's family never did specify where they were, unless there was some kind of private conversation going on behind the scenes, but in that case, why bother tweeting at each other? This back and forth was put out there to create tension and fill in any expositionary gaps that may have been created otherwise. We see the same sort of unnecessary details added throughout the conversations between Dave and Sharon early on.
A few points that I'd like to add are some obvious flaws in the creator's logic regarding the Sharon account. Sharon claims that USCPD had taken over their account, and we can see a few tweets that seem to be imitating police. Using simple logic, we know that, given a situation as severe as murder, police absolutely do not tweet out updates from civilian accounts. In this case, we see our so-called police advising citizens to lock their doors, and if this were at all a real situation, we'd see these updates from the police department's Twitter page themselves. Also, piggybacking on this point, we see that on Sharon's pinned tweet, the so-called police update was made in the Notes app on the iPhone. For starters, this is entirely unprofessional, and if this were truly a page run by the department, we'd see an image with updates of the incident with the letterhead from the police department themselves. With these points from Rain and myself, there are just too many plot holes to take these accounts completely seriously, especially given the fact that scouring local news from Sevier County, Utah and Inglewood, Colorado bring up absolutely nothing regarding the situation.
Like Nightmare Expo just pointed out, based on everything we've seen so far, it's quite obvious that this thing is staged, but by who? Naturally, everyone's first guess was that Scary Larry must either be responsible for or connected to this whole thing, but here's what he had to say about it. The only theory I've heard about them was that the Teletubbies fax is actually me and I'm doing this for an ego boost. But that's not true considering I'm nowhere near creative enough to make such a morbid storyline behind a Twitter account. This whole thing may just be an ARG, but you can't deny how effective it is and how much it manages to stick out from everything else that's currently out there. We see countless ARGs emerge on YouTube all the time, most relying on shock value or cryptic messages to drive interest. While those can be fun, we haven't quite seen one that's blown up to these proportions in such a short amount of time. Despite your opinion on it, over 45,000 people are going to be checking their feeds for whatever happens next in David's story. And Dave, if you're listening, I want an interview with you. And everyone else, if that's something you're interested in, then go ahead and send Dave a tweet. If I sounded tired throughout this video, it's because I very much am, and oh my god, I don't know why I decided to do this, but